Well, let's return now to the diplomatic fallout between the UK and Russia. That's after UK police named two suspects thought to have carried out the Salisbury nerve agent attack. The Prime Minister has said that the two men were agents of the Russian Military Intelligence Agency, the GRU, but Russia has described the British version of events as absurd and accused Theresa May of living in an information vacuum. So, should we be sceptical of the government's version of events? Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by Piers Robinson, who's a Professor of Politics at the University of Sheffield. And welcome to you. Do you think Theresa May has presented enough evidence to support her accusations?
Well, at this point, looking strictly and objectively at the material which has been put forward, no, the accusations have not been substantiated in relation to the GRU. To recap, we have at the moment, the CPS have identified two individuals as Russian passport holders who they wish to question and to arrest with regard to the Skripal poisoning. But they have not made the suggestion that these are members of the GRU or the Russian government. It's Theresa May who's made that claim, and that claim is being based upon, so far as we can tell, intelligence assessments. So really, strictly speaking, the evidence hasn't been presented. And what's also very interesting at the moment, given what happened in the United Nations yesterday, is that certainly the Chinese representative was talking about the need for a proper investigation, and another representative was also talking about the need for further facts to be put forward by the British government to actually substantiate the claim being made. So I think where we are at the moment is that we are being asked to place faith and trust in Theresa May and the intelligence services, but we haven't actually been presented with the facts and the evidence which actually does confirm the claims which are being made. So we really need to step back and look for more. And as some of the representatives at the UN Security Council were saying yesterday, we need to sort of really have more evidence before this claim can be stood up.
If there is the evidence to support the fact that it was certainly GRU operatives, can we therefore safely conclude that that had the sanction of Vladimir Putin, do you think?
Well, I think that's getting into the realm of speculation, trying to guess when the evidence actually hasn't been presented. That would be a whole different ballgame. Was it the case that there were rogue elements? And I did notice that Karen Pierce at the UN, in the discussion with journalists afterwards, did raise or seem to raise this possibility of rogue agents. So that's a whole different set of questions if it's actually established that these people are from the GRU. And we're not at that point at the moment. And I would reiterate the point that was made by the Chinese representative about the dangers of politicization in this process. And we are in the context of what's happening in Syria, returning to a major potential confrontation between the West and Russia in the context of Syria. We've been here before in the context of Syria. We've been here before. We were here immediately after the initial poisoning of the Skripals, and we had an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria. We had airstrikes being carried out by the West before the OPCW was allowed in to investigate. So I think that's what we should all be alert to at the moment, is the way in which the Skripal incident and all of the kind of toing and froing between the Russians and the West over exactly what's happened and the accusations being made, about the dangers of that becoming politicized in the context of a much bigger geopolitical picture and questions over what's going on in Syria and as the Syrian government moves into Idlib. I think that's the bigger picture here, and I think that as much as we want to keep an eye on sort of the substance of the claims being made, we also need to be very aware that this might become politicized and used as part of accusations and claims being made in the context of Syria. And I would add that Karen Pierce did actually make that link herself in the discussion with journalists after the UN Security Council meeting yesterday, where she talked about Russia and the Syrian government and international norms, etc. So I think that danger of politicization, the danger of the use of the Skripal incident as part of broader political sort of game playing in relation to Syria, for example, is a very real possibility and something which we really need to be very wary of. Especially when, as I said at the start, allegations are made which aren't necessarily being substantiated by the facts at this point in time.
OK, all right. Piers Robinson, Professor of Politics at the University of Sheffield, thank you.
Thank you.